Hey, it's the Empire, Geoboxing Empire, Boxer Boxing. Now, man, Tyson Fury just stopped number one mandatory for 1 billion years. Dillian, the body snatcher white man, by stopping him in one-sided beatdown in the 6th round. Now, that being said, man, there is the final boss, and that's Oleksandr Usyk, man, to become undisputed, man. But, a lot of people are calling Tyson Fury the GOAT. He's saying that he's the GOAT right now, and he doesn't even need to fight Oleksandr Usyk. This guy can just retire and become the greatest fighter of all time. These are clearly Tyson Fury fanatics, man. They don't really follow sport of boxing. And, let's keep it a buck, man. If you follow the sport of boxing for, this in this new generation, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, you would know that these fighters lost, and when they lost to voluntary fights, when Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, and he lost to mandatories, right? Which was Anthony Joshua's and Oleksandr Usyk. Now, that being said, man, Tyson Fury, when all-time greats become all-time greats, they don't just dominate the heavyweight division, they clean it out. And this idea that Tyson Fury just has to fight guys with titles to become the best ever, quote unquote, is ridiculous, man. Like I said earlier, Anthony Joshua lost to voluntaries, and Tyson Fury, if he fights the right guys, those can be incredibly tough fights. Tyson Fury being a Goliath in the ring, a guy who stands extremely tall and extremely, heavy, right, at 6'9", right, weighing close to 300 pounds, like in the 270s somewhere. The guy is a Goliath in the sport of boxing. His size definitely helps him dominate his fighters, bar none, no doubt about it. But with all that being said, man, Tyson Fury, after he beat Dillian White, he talked about retiring from the sport. He said he'll never fight again. There's no reason for me to sport. No amount of money can make me come back. And then a second later, he says, "But I want to fight Francis Ngannou, right, the UFC heavyweight champion," which is just contradictory to what he just said a second ago. Tyson Fury is a strange guy, man. He was over here talking to Francis Ngannou, asking how big is his Johnson. He was saying, "Oh man, do you got a big Johnson? How big is it?" And Ngannou was like, "What?" So Tyson Fury is a very strange guy, man. His fans, weird people. Let's keep it weird people. This is what they like. They like men asking men how big their dingling is. These are Tyson Fury fans. But hey, man, what can you do? The guy dominated Dillian White. The guy's a weird guy, but he did what he's supposed to do in the ring. That being said, man, Dillian White didn't land any clean punches on Tyson Fury, man. It was some wild stuff. People talk about Deontay Wilder being wild, but the way Tyson Fury completely dominated Dillian White wasn't even close. And people are respecting Deontay Wilder more because of the performances he gave Tyson Fury. Much more closer rounds, much more compact, much more better technique in his punches than a Dillian White. Dillian White was winning his shots. He gave up boxing. He just decided to try to knock out Tyson Fury without really trying to box him. With all that being said, man, Tyson Fury's dabbling in expedition fights. It looks like we don't know what he's gonna do in the ring. Like I said earlier, it looks like he's gonna vacate the title, and he's gonna leave it up to other people to fight for that title, the WBC title. Which, like I said earlier, that really solidifies you as heavyweight champion. Is title defenses and fighting all comers, not getting a title, winning it, and then just vacating it and fight expedition fights. Tyson Fury is extremely young. The guy's 33 years old, and he's young. He's 33 years old. Like I said, he's born August 1988, 33. So that being said, the guy is younger than Deontay Wilder. He's younger than Oleksandr Usyk. And he's born the same year as Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a little bit older than Tyson Fury. Actually, no. Tyson Fury is a little bit older than Anthony Joshua, but Tyson Fury is relatively young. And, for a guy who's so young and the Gypsy King, talk about retiring, it makes no sense. Tyson Fury is just too young, right? He's born in 1988. So what is he, right? He's going to be 34 this year, but right now he's 33. So, for a guy that young talking about retiring when he hasn't been in any wars, you know, it seems like he's trying to cash out on his undefeated record and saying he's the best instead of actually proving it in the ring by dominating for a long time. Say what you want about Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, but they're dominating for a few years before they got while holding titles. They didn't get the titles and lose them like Tyson Fury. They dominated the division while having titles, right? Anthony Joshua had at least 5 defenses, and Deontay Wilder had 10 defenses, tying Muhammad Ali's record. Tyson Fury has only had 2 defenses, but he lost his titles, right? When he beat Vladimir Klitschko, he never defended it, right? And then he beat Deontay Wilder, and he just beat him over and over again. He beat the same guy over and over again. That isn't really, you can't be counting the same guy over and over again as a title defense, right? So really, he defended it twice, you know? So that being said, man, you know, Tyson Fury, he has a long way to go to be called the GOAT, and Tyson Fury retiring is going to leave a lot of naysayers like me, you know? Now, Tyson Fury, he's a good fighter, like I said, but these fanatics, man, you know, they're overestimating Tyson Fury, in my opinion. And even, let's say that they're right. You know, I just want to see the guy prove it, you know? I want to see him prove it. And that means clearing out the vision and leaving no doubts. That means fighting big guys like him, tall guys. We've seen him have problems with guys like Otto Wallen, you know? A tall guy who's relatively big like Tyson Fury, right? We've seen him have problems with short guys who can move really well, like Steve Cunningham. That's a reflection of Oleksandr Usyk, but on a much, much higher level, right? So we're gonna see how Tyson Fury deals with these fighters. But nevertheless, man, he got the KO to Dillian White, and that's a good start. But the fact of the matter is, he just started doing well, and now he's trying to leave. The way he dominated Dillian White, the fact that he doesn't want to continue doing that in the sport of boxing, and he wants to get this expedition stuff and cash out on that, it's disheartening to say the least. You know, because basically what's going to happen is Tyson Fury is going to have the status of some guy who's quote unquote the best ever without really defending his title. He's not going to have any mandatories. He's not going to have the stringent drug testing the WBC allows, which is VHTE testing. You know, these are the problems with dropping titles. You're not going to be really held to any standard, and that's not what boxing's about, man. Boxing's about, you know, once you establish yourself as that guy and you build a legacy, then you can do that. You know, just getting titles and then getting stripped of the titles and then winning them back and then throwing them away again, that's not really much of a legacy. That's just you getting 1 or 2 wins, and then, you know, where is the body of work? You know, Tyson Fury's resume is nice. It's nice. It's really good. I'm not downing it, but we want to see more. We want to see more. The Gypsy King, he's such a big deal, such a big name, such a star. Okay, keep it up then, champ. We want to see more of the Gypsy King, and I want to see more of him too. I want to see him keep competing. I want to see him fight guys like Big Bang Miller, big guy who weighs almost 300 pounds. I want to see him versus Andy Ruiz. I want to see him versus all comers, no matter what, if there are mismatches or not, because you never know what happens in the sport of boxing. Like I said earlier, you know, Anthony Joshua lost to Andy Ruiz, and Deontay Wilder had a lot of scares too. He could have lost easily to Luis Ortiz. You know, he almost got stopped in a fight. You know, Tyson Fury even had a scare with Otto Wallen, like I said earlier. So these aren't guys who are just going in their whole career just looking unstoppable. That's not what is happening. So yeah, man, I would like to see Tyson Fury continue his reign. We're gonna see if he vacates the title, but hopefully he doesn't. I mean, you see what happened with Dillian White. If he tries to step down from there, it will look really bad. I want to see him fight names, Daniel Dubois, you know, a Joy Joyce. I don't care, man. Just some name, because Dillian White was a pretty big name. He was expected to do well. He let a lot of people down, and you know, that's that. But you know, stepping down from here and going back to domestic level and fighting guys nobody heard of, you know, hopefully that doesn't happen. Fighting UFC fighters, man, you got YouTubers knocking out these UFC fighters right now, like Jake Paul. So what is beating a UFC fighter gonna really, what does that even mean? It means nothing. It's just a cash grab. And he's basically milking his fans right now, if he goes the UFC route, because he's too young to be trying to think about retiring right now. So that's how I feel about it, though, man. Oleksandr Usyk, man, he is the final boss, and he fights all big dogs. He don't really take tune-up fights unless he's going up in weight when he fight Derek Chisora. Besides that, it was a Super 8 tournament, or Super 6, whatever it was with Oleksandr Usyk at cruiserweight, and then he went up to heavyweight, had a couple tune-ups, and then fought all big dogs, you know, which is Witherspoon. He fought Witherspoon first, tune-up, Derek Chisora, who's a sort of big name over there in the UK, so I guess that's not a tune-up, that's sort of a challenging veteran, and then he fought Anthony Joshua, you know, getting those titles, right? So that being said, man, we want to see Tyson Fury continue to hold this title, in my opinion, because whoever's going to get the WBC title is going to be seen as a paper champion. Let's just keep it a buck. They're going to be seen as a paper champion, and I'm not trying to see that, man. I don't, whoever gets the title is not going to be seen as legitimate, because it's basically going to be like, oh, this guy handed you the title because he's such a big deal. He's the all-time great. He's this and that. And it's going to be disrespectful to the guy holding the title. And it's going to be disrespectful for the title defenses because it's not going to mean anything. Basically, WBC champion, whoever it will be, most likely Deontay Wilder, if he comes back and fights for it, it will be such that Deontay Wilder will be quote-unquote fighting the best in the rankings, but Tyson Fury will get more credit because, well, he's the real champion. So it's just some demented stuff, man. Demented. So, you know, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out with Tyson Fury and Oleksandr Usyk. It seems as though Tyson Fury wants to play a game of he doesn't want to fight Usyk, but he really wants to fight Anthony Joshua, and he's saying he's gonna retire now because he thinks Usyk might win that fight. He doesn't want to fight Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk is a much more dangerous fighter, technical wise, than Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua, he has raw power. The only way he can beat Usyk is a puncher's chance. He needs to just walk him down and go all out. He can't really try to outthink Usyk. He's too fast. He's southpaw. You know, there's too many things that can go wrong for Anthony Joshua. He doesn't have the stamina to really keep up with Oleksandr Usyk. So that being said, man, you know, we're gonna see how this whole thing plays out, man. But I'm excited to see it, though. But anyway, it was entertaining stuff, man. Let me know how you guys feel about the fight that happened with Tyson Fury and Dillian White. It was much more one-sided than I thought it was going to be. Dillian White went southpaw for some reason. I have no idea why. I mean, it was just a horror show for Dillian White, man. I don't know what he was thinking. Anyway, let me know how you guys feel about it, though. Like, comment, subscribe. This to Empire. Geobasking Empire. Peace. Geobasking Empire. Peace.